yesterday we have seen how do we create a new process. Yesterday we have seen how do we create a new process, and if at all we want to use any of the template, how do we do that? So next we will go on to Teams. So as I said, team is nothing but your online repositories where you can have a day-to-day backup and you can pull the information whenever we want it. Okay, so next is tools. So here in the tools section, right? See, this UiPath extensions are nothing but your connectors to different what we say applications. See, for example, in Google Chrome, right? See, I guess you have not shared the entire screen.
Okay, you want me to share that?
Share it. Yeah.
You have to stop and.
Yeah, you can just stop and reshare the entire screen. See, now if you look right in the Chrome, so either you will see something related to Gmail here, or see here something related to Gmail or some other plugins that you install. Correct? I'm not sure how many of you have tried it. Like you can use for IRCTC app. So many extensions are there. You like you can search by extensions. So you'll get variety of options to install the. See, like this, you will have enough of extensions for different purpose. So what it does is it directly connects with the respective application. Okay. So by default, they are not intended to connect to your any of the other applications, but these extensions will help you to, what we say, connect to various applications by default. See, for example, in UiPath, why it is required. See, I'll show you the example before we install the extension. So now in our automation process, right, we want to type something here. We want to type here. So here, see, if I go back here, I'll use the activity called type into. That is to type whatever you want and wherever we want. So I'll select the activity and I'll tell where to type. So I'll indicate on the screen where to type. See, now if you see here, right, I'm not able to type exactly where I want. It's selecting my entire page as a single page. So I cannot type on a page. I want to type on a specific field. So this is what happens when you don't have your browser recognizing your software. It doesn't recognize each and individual entities. Getting me? So these entities cannot be automatically recognized, and that is why now see, I'll leave this as it is. I'll go back and let us install the extensions now. So we want to use a Chrome extension. Simply click on this. Okay, it will automatically install it, and you have to enable it from your browser. So you have option called enable extensions. See, now you also get a you will get automatically UiPath extension installed here. Okay, so now see, along with your Gmail, you also have a UiPath extension. So now you see the difference. Now once I finish installing it, if I go back here, okay, now I'll again tell system where to type. See here, now I'll get exact coordinates where I want to perform my operations.
Oh, okay, just I missed. So what is the purpose of doing this extension?
1 minute, I'll show.
Okay.
See, previously without extension, right? It was entirely recognizing your page as a single page. You cannot differentiate between your extensions, your this entities, nothing. You can establish a connection separately. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
now when we install plugins or extension, see it identifies your individual. 1 minute, I'll have to see. This is how it happens initially. Okay. So I'll close the browser and restart it after installing. So if I go back here, see now you can recognize each and every elements individually. Previously, it was your entire page like this. You cannot type here. Now, if I want to type here, I can select this specific space. So I can give whatever message I want to type.
Is that with every single application that we want to tie UI?
No, it's only to this many. Rest are all default identified.
Okay. And
So it's
you just give a command to type into. I mean, that is because is there any other commands? I mean, is it a normal from the library that these commands have been given, or how do we know that it's just type into and
correct. We'll come to that. Yeah. So
is there anything we need to enable in the browser
no.
after installing?
No, you
Nothing.
got the option here to enable, right? You'll get one pop-up here to enable the extension.
Correct.
So you just have to click on enable.
Correct.
Sometime it will
Okay.
directly. If it doesn't recognize, close and reopen your browser. So you should see a URL icon here enabled, like it in blue color. See, if it's disabled, it will be in black color. That means it will not recognize your extension. So you have to open some browser URL to get it enabled.
Okay. So this happens only in UiPath, or normal extensions we can still do it?
No, like I didn't get you. No, UiPath is.
So since we have clicked on that UiPath logo,
Yes.
there we are able to do the manage extension, right?
Correct.
So can we do it in the normal HTTP browser, or we have to? It's only an option available in the UiPath.
No. See, this extension is for your entire browser. It has nothing to do with this website.
Okay.
How did you download that? How did you install that?
Yeah, see, when you come to tools, right, you'll have to click on this.
Okay.
When you click on this, it will automatically connect to your browser and you will get one option here to enable.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
So when you click on enable, this will automatically get attached here.
And every time we have to do that?
No, it's only one-time activity. You don't have to do every time.
Okay.
Unless you don't.
And if any patches are updated going forward, if any upgradations or anything happens to the browser, this configuration will be there?
This will remain as it is. This doesn't change.
As it is. Okay.
Not only this, any extensions in a browser will remain as it is.
So what in case if I'm changing the system? So there I have to go and
see, if you uninstall this browser and reinstall, then you have to simply come here and again, enable the extensions.
Okay.
If you switch the system, yes, it's from system to system.
Right.
So from this UiPath for this machine, you are giving access to this particular browser.
Okay.
So same way we have for others also, Firefox, Edge, whichever browser you are using, you can do that here. So Citrix, VMware, remote desktop, but you don't see here for IE. So for IE, nothing is required because as I said, by default, this product is built on a .NET platform. So whatever is supported by Microsoft, right, that is default supported by UiPath as well. You will not have any extension for Internet Explorer.
Okay.
Fine. So this.
Can you show me what you have done in a browser? You open the browser. In the browser, something you enabled, right? Where do we get that?
See, okay. See, in your machine, right, in the UiPath Studio, click on this Chrome.
Under tools.
Correct.
You
Yeah,
got one message. You'll have to click on OK.
correct.
Okay. Then you go to your Chrome. You will have one window here.
Oh, okay.
So there you have to enable the extension.
Okay.
So I already enabled, so I cannot re-enable it. So if at all
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get one message, in case you are not getting the window, close your browser and reopen your browser.
But that has to be done for every single window. That because the next one, if you open another window, then it says it shows blank.
No,
Yeah.
see, it is because you don't have any URL. So we
Oh.
are automating something on a platform, right? So if you give some website like this, whatever it can be,
Okay.
it will automatically turn to blue.
All right. Okay. Okay.
It recognizes that you have some element. See, when you simply open it, right, it doesn't have any element to operate upon. Right? You got it, Ramesh? Is it enabled?
Yeah. I got it. Yeah, it is enabled also. Because when you open a Chrome, it prompts you to enable the extension.
Correct. So it's a one time. You don't have to do every time.
Yeah. Okay.
And Kiran, to your this question, right? How did I choose? So I will come to that later. So that time we'll understand better ways why it is required and how we use it.
Yeah.
Okay. So this way, wherever you require, you don't have to always install it. If at all you want to use, you can install the extension. Otherwise, you can ignore it. Suppose you're never going to use Firefox or Edge, you can ignore it. Okay. Then this UI Explorer, right? Once we start designing something, I'll tell you what is the use of it and how it is used. See here also, we have same option. So that one and this project dependency update tool, right? So exactly that is this manage packages. So we'll come to both of this little later. Okay. So next we have something called settings. So like every tool, you also have a settings. So these settings are nothing but related to a language, the themes that you want to use, all that you can, change here, whatever you want. So it supports multiple language. UiPath supports multiple language. So whichever language you want, you can install it here. Okay, and then design. So you have all default timing, when to auto save your file, what's the interval. So one thing you'll have to keep in mind is majorly all the time intervals here are in milliseconds. So if you want in other format, you'll have to convert it manually, like seconds, minutes, and all. So by default, it is in milliseconds. So here it has all the other options, like when you run your program, what should your UiPath screen do, whether to minimize or not. So all that options are here. You can leave it default as it is, if until unless really not required to change. Okay, so by default, if you don't save, automatically when it will save, all the times are given here. Okay, and then the location. So yesterday we selected, right, the project path. So if you want to change, you can come and change it here. Okay, so this library will come again back to that manage packages. So that I will tell you a project path, you can set it here. And then this is what your manage packages is. So this manage package paths, right, they are default given by UiPath. So what it does is, these all are global libraries. Across the globe, everybody can access this, what we say common library. Library is nothing but like from where you get all this activities. What you see on the screen, right, on my activities section. So using these activities, we're going to design. So by default, right, so UiPath has given so many things. If you keep on expanding, right, you will get so many options inside. Suppose you want to read Excel, email, everything is by default given. Apart from that, you don't find anything, right? Okay. For example, say I automate something on a PDF. I'll search here. So I don't find anything for PDF. So what I'll do, I'll go to manage packages. So these packages are nothing but it's a global packages that is created by UiPath or any developer across the globe. So you can come and search here under all. Our first preference will be you search for UiPath packages because they are the most stable version. It is like this. See, this package is nothing but if you go to our Play Store or Apple Store, right? You're downloading a game or downloading application. So exactly that is what we're doing.
Mhm.
So we are downloading that particular packages to be used as our design purpose. So this package, right, the managed package, this libraries are global libraries, path that we were seeing previously. So all that libraries will fetch you all the respective libraries. So
This is
this,
if you do not have a PDF in your, I mean, installed in your system or anything, it doesn't matter at all.
correct, it doesn't matter. See, it's based on your requirement. You can get, see what is on a day-to-day basis required, right, that is given by UiPath. Anything apart from that you want, you can always go to manage package and download it.
So if I download that any particular PDF or anything, so it will come and sit in my UiPath destination, or it will
Yes,
be.
yes, I'll show you that. I'll show that. So how do you identify like which one to choose? See, when you have multiple options, as I said, like see, other than UiPath, so many developers have done this. So everybody will give you what is the description, what is this doing, what are the features you're going to get, what is the current version. Every information will be given here. Okay, see here, it says what and things it can do. So same way, here the another feature is it gives you each and every version. Which version you want to install it. It's not that you only have to install the latest version. You can pick anything of your choice. Every time it gets revised, your version will get added in the list. So, and you have all the rules and rule-based validation for this to be done. So you can choose anything between strict or lowest version. So lowest versions, it will plainly work. Strict means it will show you dependency. It has to have all this downloaded when you install this package. So it will also download this for you in your machine. Both are your choice. You want to just bypass it or you want to have everything together. And it will give you all the, when was this last updated, what's the license information, who is the author, everything. So once you finalize which one you want, you have to click on install. Okay. So now it is its memory.
Milan?
Sorry.
By default, do you select strict or the other one?
By default option is strict only. So it will download all the dependencies automatically.
Okay, so where it gets installed in this packages itself when we download it?
Yeah, it will come now towards your activities. So this is a package. See, what if I go to a Play Store, right? You download it. So that is what we are doing it. We are downloading it. This will go and unzip the file in your machine and under that respective folder, and you will get that ready-made activities here. See now, once I click on install, I'll click on save. So you can see it has started downloading the files. It will unzip it. It will get automatically to you as the activities.
Okay. So what sort of files this will available in this? I mean, any tools that we can go and fetch it from here, or any restricted tools are there in this?
No, you get anything what you want. Suppose now, if I search,
Just try for Cadency.
yeah, we'll come to that. See here, if you search by PDF, now you got so many options.
So many. Okay.
So whatever you want to read a PDF, you can use this activity. So like this, you can get anything. So what was that you asked me to search?
Cadency, CADENCY.
CDC. It's not there.
Not available.
We don't. There's no purpose of. Nobody might have used at any time.
Okay.
But what is required for our automation, you can get anything. Suppose you want to do something on machine learning, right? So machine learning based, what are options are there? You will get it here. See. Suppose you want to do artificial intelligence, right? So you can search by that. Different. You can also create your package and you can publish it here. That means you have to write a code behind. See, for us, it's a design.
Oh, Watson is there. Okay.
Behind this was designed, right? It's a code. Like, see, if you go to Java, .NET, you will have something called library packages. So exactly same is this, all this library. The only best part is in automation, we don't even have to see what is the script or code written. We can simply use that as activities. So we call all this, everything here as activities. Okay, so this all the location, right, from where it is coming, that is what is the path that you could see here in our settings also. So by default, see, you can see this is where your packages are getting extracted. This is the source for everybody. Okay, and from where, which organization it has to, connect, everything is default given. If you want, you can also add. See, you can give something like whatever name you want. As like test source. You can give your source URL, whatever is your URL. If you add, your URL also get listed here. That way you can publish your package here, and then you can automatically see it, and anybody else also can see that. So automatically when you update multiple versions, the versions will keep on getting changed here. And as a developer, it will be your information here. See who is the owner, then that particular owner's name will come here. So all this right default, see, as I said, since it is compatible with Microsoft, whatever is there in Microsoft, right, you will get everything listed here automatically. So that is why we don't have any scripting in any of the RPA tool. You will have something like this, the packages. When you unzip it in your machine, right, it will become as activities. So you can use anything you want, simply drag it here, define the steps. So you say export PDF page as image. So you tell the source path, the destination path. It will do that exporting part for you. Behind that, every logic is written, which we are not interested. For us, completing the task is important. That is what is our objective. How it completes, that's not our, what is the source of understanding.
Milan, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Let's say a client has asked for a particular, like how Kuber had asked for cadency or something like that. So,
Okay.
and it was not there. And is it the responsibility of the developer to create one and do it?
No. So what is, by the way, even I'm not aware, what is this cadence?
This is basically an accounting tool. So third-party tool, so which will be used even in the UI paths. Like for example, if I'm developing any UI path and which is assuming we are doing some reconciliations. Okay, so the data has to fetch from Cadency and also from the SAP.
Okay, for that you don't see. Okay, it's good you said. See, you don't have to connect to us. Sorry, you don't have to download a software for your machine. Suppose, see, if Cadency is a web-based application, I'll tell you. Okay. Is this one?
Yeah. This is the one.
So, okay. Do they have anything on web? So you'll have to install this software in your machine, right?
Yes.
Correct? So
Yeah.
now UiPath will automatically interact with that software. You will design steps like this. Suppose, see, if you want to update some data, you're going to do type input. If you want to fetch some data, right, you will say get text. It will extract everything. See here, get text, get OCR text. So it will scan and get you the data. So either you can get the data from that and store it somewhere, or you can update your data.
I can understand. Milan, so if
Yeah.
this particular software is installed in your computer already,
Yeah.
so it will fetch data from that if it is already installed.
So you'll have to design steps like this. Way to fetch. Suppose you have a field here, like account number.
Right.
So you have some field called account number here. So if you tell system where to fetch from, it will fetch the data from there. So you don't have to separately install a tool inside UiPath.
Milan, is it not the source from where you are extracting the data? He should publish the data should be available, no? Where we mention the source.
Now, can you repeat your question?
No, if suppose I write a code here to extract from Cadency.
Yes.
Now Cadency should have published that data, right? Where other systems can extract the data from this.
I'm still not clear with your question.
No, no. See, you said you write a code here where
Yes.
a source from where you want to extract the data.
Correct.
Suppose
Yes.
to extract the data from Cadency. Now,
Yes.
Cadency as an application, it should have published that data publicly or with the specific person. Like how we publish API. If you are pushing the API, the data gets into
Okay,
other
okay. So I got your question. Okay, see, you don't have to worry whether it's a public data or private data. See here, you can directly launch your application, log into your application and fetch the data. If data is not available, you mark that as a blank when you're extracting the data. It's not necessary that you have to. See, even if you want to extract a public data or private data, right, you have to tell steps once to the system. See, for example, I'll give you one simple example. See, suppose your Cadence application, right? I'll assume that it's a notepad, okay? Or anything you want. It can be anything. Or it can be a calculator. See, here, I'm telling open application. Now, if Cadence is one of your application that is installed in your machine, right? So what I'll do, I'll show this to the system what to open for the first time. See, I'll keep one notepad here now. Okay. Now, so I'll tell to the system what I want to open. Okay. This part is done now. Now, if you see here, right, this UiPath has gone to the source of your file. Source means from where your Cadence application is getting launched or hosted. Okay, so now when you run a process, right? See, if I run my process, it opens a new notepad application for me automatically. See, it has opened now a new notepad for us in the desktop. So if this was your application, now you want to log in something, right? So you have to enter password, username and password to log in. So all that you're going to do from here to, like, you are going to enter your username, you're going to enter your password and then start fetching the data. You are getting, or is that what your question is answered? Hello?
We can hear you, Milan.
Sorry?
We can hear.
Yeah, so, okay, so was that the question? Is that what was you looking for?
Has he dropped off?
Ramesh?
Yes, Milan. Sorry, I was having internet issue, so it reconnected.
Okay, no problem.
Well, Milan, one question. Now,
Yes.
suppose Cadency is an application. Now,
Yes.
suppose they want to extract a reconciliation statement they made.
Yes,
It is
yes.
somewhere, or it is like the output is lying in some place as a PDF. So you make the source here to extract the PDF. That is one way of doing it, right?
Yes. So I'll
Exactly, the PDF content comes here.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what we do it in that scenario. First, using UiPath, I'm going to open your Cadency application. Okay, wherever screen I want to, I'm going to navigate to respective screen. Navigated. Should I have an export option for all the set of data? I can click on export data and give the path. Okay, I want to store my file. Now your PDF is generated. Okay, this PDF, again using this PDF activities here, you can read and extract data if you want, or if you have a huge, like you have 500,000 page, then your all the what we say RPA tools will fall short. So that's where you're going to use middle OCR applications or OCR tools. So they will extract the data for us. Okay. So once it is extracted everything, your file will be either of Excel, CSV or something. Using this now, suppose you want, with this data that is extracted, you want to create an entry in SAP, right? So again, using RPA, we are going to update the data in SAP.
Okay.
That's how system works actually. So at the front, you have to design how to interact with Cadency, and then you also have to, design how do we update the data in SAP. And that is what these steps we are going to do. See, we have to tell the system, how do I log into SAP? What will be my credential? Which screen to go? Which field to update the data? That everything we're designing here. So our design part is one-time activity. Once you design, yeah.
If there is authentication in the application,
Yes.
you have to log in as some authorization person. So how do you put the user ID password to this application to open and get navigated to the respective link?
See, it's like this. Every application has username and password. So UI is designed to enter username and password. Now, some application has token authentication, some has mobile authentication. So what you do, we are assuming that it's a one-time activity in the day. You don't have to authenticate every now and then, or at least at some specific intervals, right? So we check that. So if suppose, if for example, here I'll check that is my scheduled a demo button enabled. If not, I'll keep on waiting till this button becomes green for me to proceed further. So I'll wait for the user to interact and update the value. Whatever is the authentication they have received in their mobile app, wherever it is. And then the bots will be able to proceed further.
Oh, okay. So that means that user has to log in, even if they are having a multi-factor authentication, they are authenticating.
See, for example, no.
They keep waiting.
No, it's like this. Suppose you have authentication access here in your say. So for example, see how he has done that. His Axis Bank or WhatsApp is open here. You are getting your authentication in that particular application, which is within your system. Then robot will go from here to this tab, fetch that authentication value, update it here and proceed further. That is also possible. So it all depends where you are going to get authentication.
Okay, okay.
So since it is a third-party tool, so we basically this tool will go and fetch the data, and from that particular Cadency or whichever the third-party tool, and then takes the data from there and redeposit into your UiPath location, correct?
Yes.
See, in the corporate organization, for example, if I am a developer, probably I would have given access to SAP and then a Cadence. So where where I would know which particular transaction codes or which particular tables that I have to use. So I'll directly go and map it into the UiPath. For example, in SAP, if I need to use F-44, so then I'll just go and make it a blog in that saying that F-44 is my standard T code where I need to fetch the data from the SAP. So I'll make it in the UiPath.
Yes.
So similar way, if I am using quite a different third-party tool which is not installed in my system. So if I'm going into an Oracle, which is not available in my system. So for Oracle, I should have an user ID and passwords belongs to that, and then only I can go and fetch the data from that.
Correct. Right? Yes. See, I'll give you another example for you to understand. Can I log off for time being? Is it okay?
Yeah.
See, now you came to this page, right? You have an option to log in here. The moment you click on login, you will have a login option here.
Okay.
Let me remove this data for time being. Okay. Now you see here, how will you tell system to log in? Assuming that this is your Oracle or Cadence, whatever application it is. See now, I'll tell here in my code, I'll tell type into, okay? I'll tell to in the system where to type here. Okay. And I'm going to tell what email ID I want to type. I'll say like abc@gmail.com. I'm giving some dummy value. I don't want any other data. So I'll change the properties. Okay. And then we'll have to type a password. So now I'll come and enter the password. I'll tell in the system where to type the password. And I'll say what password it is.
So whatever password you are supposed to use in that URL, so you're going to type it here.
Usually it's not like this. It is very secured. We'll come to that later in Orchestrator. But for time being, I'm directly passing the value. Okay. Now you see if I execute my process, okay, it will start typing there on the screen.
Okay.
This way you are supposed to design the process wherein you are going to log into our application and proceed further. Now, see, this is not our task is only to show to UiPath where to type. If you look at it, right, in its memory, it keeps every information that it is required. See here, if you look, it has every information. What is my browser? What was the application that I'm working upon? Where to type, what to type, every information is here. And that is what this UI Explorer is. See, we came across here UI Explorer, right? See, if I open a UI Explorer, for us it is really not needed, but that is for the system to track it. See here. See, it has every information in your page, at what location, what point you have that input parameter, everything is given. From where your Chrome is launching, right? That also it is having the information. So you don't have to think about it. And to cross verify this, see, it creates the exact image in its memory. If I go to screenshot, what did we capture? Username, right? See, it has captured that in its memory also. See here, okay, this is for password. Same we have for username. So it is that authenticate. Suppose you remove this field, right? Okay, you don't have this field. It is not going to go and type something wrong. If your title of the page changes, right, from online shopping to something else, then also this will not allow to type. See here, it is having everything. Your comma, space, everything is there. If you look here, see, it's written as same online shopping site for mobile electronics. And same you will see it here. See here, online shopping site for mobile, electronics, everything. So even your one word changes, right? It doesn't allow to even type your username or password. It is that secure. So
That's just
task is
in
only,
the
yeah.
whole when you're designing. So enter username and password. So if you have a username and valid password, then it enters in, and then you can ask. I mean, you can ask them to submit. It enters,
Yeah,
and
so now see if I want to submit it, right? What else? I'll click on a button. So what are human activities we are doing, right? Same, I'm telling my process to do it. So I'll show where to click. I'll say this login button. So it captures that. So now when you execute, if your username and password are correct, it will log in. If at all it is not correct, it will give error. So that is what I was telling. We check for this button. Even before we get error, right, I'll check whether this button is enabled. Suppose I don't enter the value, right? Okay, my button is not even enabled in some of the website. Here it is by default enabled. If you go to Gmail or Amazon, right, it will not get enabled. That means you are not even passing a value here. So you don't even have to go and execute this step. Well, before that only you are making clear that whether to type or not. And I'm making a judgment also if I want, right? See, this, as I said, these values will come from somewhere, right? I don't have to show a value somebody like this, what is my username and password. So I'm going to get that value from somewhere. That is what is this variable. In every software, we store the temporary values in variable. So I'll use a condition. I have a condition based decisions also. So I'll use the if condition. I'll say that is my username blank or not. If it is getting a value from the source, then only you are going to type this value. Otherwise, don't even type. You end your process here only because without login, you can't proceed further. As a human, if we are not processing, a robot can also completely exit your process from here. So this all will come. Why do we have to put condition? So this is based on our requirements. Some application, right? See here, if you even update one thing wrong, but it's auto updating the password from your login memory, right? It will allow you to log in. So one of the application that we worked, right? Whatever you enter here, okay, it has a pre-default value in its memory. With that, it can always log in even if your username is wrong. So which is fine to us. We don't even have to worry about it. System is accepting, we can't. That's a business rule that you have to allow the user to log in. That is what we are doing. So our task, right? Our task basically is here to design the exact steps as a human what we are going to do. If we as a human have to do the judgment, right? Then we have to tell the same to softwares also.
Mm.
So next time, see, for us, this is now in a day, right? You are coming 10 times to do shopping. So you are going to follow the same thing and 10 times, right? So exactly same will be taken care by the softwares. So that is what all automated process does. So that's what I said. In a day, if you're fetching 1,000 record, right? Okay. And if each record takes 1 hour, you might have more than 100 or 200 people's team with a different level of experience, different level of knowledge, everything. But everybody does the same task. It can be a fresher, it can be a 2 years experienced person, 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, 15 years, that's it. The task might slightly vary. So if we feed all the tasks to a system, right, it can perform each and every operation irrespective of whatever is the complexity, it can do it. And it can finish 1,000 applications throughout the day and night. You don't have any backlog. By the time you come next morning, the bot will be processing the next set of application that you receive. As a human being, we have some target, minimum 25 to be finished. And if anything comes, more than that value, it will become a backlog. Or you might have to have a team working in all the shift. So that is what all this automation does it. Exactly what human does, right? That is what a software is doing. But only thing is we are supposed to tell system exactly where, what to do and how to do it. But that is a one-time activity for us. And apart from that, okay, so I'll come to the point now. So today we are designing each and every factor here. If my password is wrong or if my username is not correct, I'm not going to proceed further in my application. But what all these companies are currently working is, okay, they are bringing this artificial intelligence and machine learning into RPA tools. So what basically it does is, it tries to recall what is the username and password that you entered last time when you were able to log in successfully yesterday or 5 hours back. So without asking a user, if at all it's the same machine, it has to have some judgment-based parameters that you have to allow system to decide. So if at all, if your criteria matches, the system will automatically do the login using its intelligence. The future is, you are still trying to reduce the human effort. In RPA, if something goes wrong beyond your, the required thing, you have to have a manual intervention. So even that the companies want to reduce it. And that is why they are using AI concept. You are giving some condition for the AI model. If that condition matches, then you can definitely, the softwares can take a decisions automatically.
That's the advanced version of ML and AI.
Yeah, but it will take some time. See, it's like this. When initially RPA came, also no clients were trusting. How can a machine do all this? What if it goes wrong? Everything. Today, it is very much stable. So everybody is implementing. Same, customers are not sure if I use the other login name, what happens? So they are justifying a business that I am doing a transaction irrespective of what our ID is. If I have to fetch a data, I don't have to bother through which ID I am fetching it. When I'm creating a customer account in SAP, okay, it might ask who is the user who has done that. So that time it matters, right? So just for fetching, I don't want my process to get on hold. That is what you have to bring a step-by-step level changes. Then tomorrow your business will get adapted to this. So that is what the change is, where you are completely removing the human efforts. So now instead of having 100 or 200 people team, you keep 100 robot. There is no cost of maintenance for a robot, right? So if there is a human being, you will have to have a policy to give them a leave. Every year they have to give us a hike. Though it's marginal, but for them, they think of all this as a cost burden. Giving your transport, if you are late to office, we say that, okay, it's due to traffic, we reach late. So they have to compensate that, as a, what is the company loss, not as a individual loss. So the output, their 25 target will automatically come to 24, even if you're 15 minutes less. So that way, company is losing the productivities. So in this robot, 24/7 it will run. Even on a weekend it is running without even complaining it, right? So that is where your profits are coming from. So instead of having 100 people team, if you have 100 robot, it's a one-time. See, when you bought a laptop for your home, right, it's a one-time investment. After that, you might have done thousands of things, right? Otherwise, previously, when we didn't have machine, right, what we used to do, for every small thing, we have to go to cyberpunk. So every time we have to pay, even if I use 30 minutes, 1 hour, we have to pay it. But now it is not the case. It's at your easiest tip, you have that access from home. So exactly applicable in software world also. You got the difference now?
Yeah.
So basically, you don't have to interact with the units. You don't have to pull the software inside your machine. It's the interaction between a software and UiPath or any RPA platform is what we are going to do. The rest will be taken care by system. Okay. So that was about this managed sources. And then license information. This will take you to your UiPath orchestrator where you can check your licenses. And then team, again, if you don't want any of this feature, you can simply disable from here. Okay, and anytime you can re-enable it. And then all these are like, just what we say. Uh,
But Teams, at least one of thing we need, right? Either SVN or Git or TFS.
by default, companies will keep it on.
Okay.
This is only for us. If you want, you can simply disable. You can, re-enable whenever you want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this.
Okay.
Even companies ask that when they don't want, they disable. When they want, they enable.
Mm.
And this is all for your experimental purposes. They have given this option. You can give your feedbacks to the UiPath if you want it. Okay. And then,
I think managed sources is the biggest thing in this and the design.
yeah, so this is same as this managed sources. Both are same.
Mm.
So even that setting also you can see here. And all these are the different source from where it is pulling that particular packages for us. For us, it doesn't matter if you go to all package, everything of all this together comes here. And you have this option, whether you want a pre-released version or not. Pre-released is like somebody like you or me who is doing for the very first time. Okay, we might not have tested properly. Like it can happen in any software. You might have, this, they call it as bug. They call bounty program. Suppose you identify a bug in the system, they give you rewards. So same way, if they have missed something, so that it creates a problem for us when we're using. If you don't want a pre-release version, you can uncheck this fact. So whatever is completely in a stable version, only that will come to you.
Okay.
You don't want issues because of somebody's partial, what we say, programming, you can ignore it here. So next, you are getting late, Cooper, otherwise 3 minutes. I'll finish this one help quickly.
Okay. Okay.
So in the help section, right, here basically it displays all the information related to your UiPath, like what version it is installed, what license you are using, what is your default machine ID. That's what I was saying sometime back on the very first day. Like in an enterprise, right, it creates an ID like this for every machine. You can't modify these IDs. So with this, it tracks it, like how long you have used it, n number of time you install, right? Your ID remains the same for that particular machine. So we cannot tweak, reinstall, and simply extend the license.
Okay.
Okay, and then it will show you which version you are using. If you
So
don't
this ID is respect to that particular machine.
machine, yes, it's respect to the machine.
Mm.
And then if you don't want a stable, you want a preview version, means automatically something new comes in UiPath. Every time you restart your UiPath, it will automatically get updated to the latest version. But as I said, this preview is like your pre-release. If something is wrong, it will keep on crashing for you. That is what we always prefer for a stable.
Stable.
And then it will, this is for your reference only, which operating system you are using, what's the .NET framework. So this .NET framework is the one with which it's interacting with the libraries. So minimum .NET version that is required from Windows 8 onwards is 4.6. Anything greater than 4.6 will work. So now if you come here, right, on the help section, all these are linked based options. So if you click on product documentation, it takes you to the UiPath website and everything as a product, what is required for you to know, right? All that information is given here. See, so what we are doing is we are getting started here. So all required to start, right? Installation, help, everything is here. Same way, right? Whatever we did extension, today see we install extension, right? So somewhere we have that extension also. So like this, everything is given here. You forgot something, you want some info. See, we came to UI elements, right? So like this, all the informations are given here. See, we installed extension, right? So it is here. So what we did, why it is required, what is the purpose, everything is given here. They don't have separate, like, other softwares giving you a PDF file for your documentation. Everything is here. Whatever is latest updated, see it says that updated 11 days ago. So you always refer to the up-to-date information. No outdated information you're going to refer. So anything that you're stuck, you can always come to this, or you can go to your UiPath Studio and simply click on help in the product document. It will open you to a product website. Then we have community forum. So community forum, it will take you to a community website. So in the community website, right, this is also a global website for every user in UiPath across the globe. See, suppose somebody is having this doubt, you can post your question, select this, and people across the globe can give you a solution. See here. See here, whatever you want, right? Every information is given here. So like this, you can use the same login information, sign in. You can also put your questions, everything, you can do it. You can go to documentation for whatever you want, you can get everything. So this is the best part of the UiPath among all the RPA tools. It has one of the best communities across the globe.
Okay.
So whatever you are stuck, you get an instant information. And it's not that the users only have to post it. It's across the UiPath team also. If they have free time in their office, they can also come and respond to your question. If you know the problem of somebody who has posted, you can also provide a solution. Okay, so that is about the community. And then help center. So help center is basically for the enterprise people, wherein they can actually raise the service request if at all they have issues with the UiPath. So because they are paying a license charges, so they directly get access with the UiPath team on a priority basis. And then Academy. So this is where it takes you to the UiPath Academy to do the certification, everything. Okay. So this website helps you to complete your what we say certification based on what kind of profiles you want. So they have multiple here, see different courses available. So actually this is the old website it is referring. The latest one is here.
So this is online courses, we can take it from here.
Yeah, in this website it's online. So this is the latest website that they have come up with, and this is now a paid version. It's not a free one. If you use a new website, if you log in here, it takes a paid version. So you'll have to pay something to do the certification. Otherwise, you can use the old website also for your reference.
I heard even certification is a free nowadays, because
it was free till June 3rd. June 1st it was free, and now in this new website it is charged. If you go and log in right here, okay.
And in old website it is free, is it?
Yes, yes.
We can still get a certification from there.
Yes, you can still get it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then you have release notes. If you go here, it gives you each and every information about your release information, like in which version, what features are coming. Every such information is given for your reference. So if at all you want to know in the latest version, what are the features you available, you can always go and refer it here.
Okay. So Milan, I just need to drop. I'll try to reinstall my system and then install and try to check that.
Yes, yes. So yeah, we are done. So nothing. I'll also stop here. So this is about the survey. If you want to give a feedback to UiPath, you can do it from here. Okay. So this is what we had in help. So next we'll go to the rest of the section, design and debug, tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll stop it here today.